Welcome to episode 5 of the BBL Summer Road Trip. I am Jay Marriott. He is Drew Lasker. Drew, where do we find you at the minute? I think you've outdone us all.
Well, you know, I had to keep this trend going, right? I mean, even you're shooting from another location. You're actually shooting from your normal studio, which is the first time since we've been on this road trip. And then myself, I'm here in the beautiful Jamaica Beach in Galveston, Texas, here on our yearly family vacation and just soaking it up a little bit. I'm not trying to cause any jealousness or envy to anybody out in the UK, maybe a little bit, but yeah. How's it feel to be home, man?
Oh man, hey, first of all, like clap you in, family holidays, managing to get on the show. We get this done. Like, guys,
sacrifice.
You have to give us our flowers. Wherever we are, we will get it done. But yes, I'm back in Plymouth for the weekend. That's how it rolls for me at the minute. Gloucester during the week, and then back to the family on the weekend. So just watching a little Fast and the Furious 9, and then back here again to record a pod. So here we go.
And when do you normally head back up to Gloucester? Is that a Monday morning or is it Sunday night?
Yeah, no, I leave Monday morning. So I leave about 5, gets me there just after 7, get in the office. I like to be in the office a couple hours before anybody starts arriving and distracting, and that's where all the magic happens, guys. So if you're looking for creative J, it's between 7 and 9, and then about 9 I start getting a little coffee itch, So that's how I roll. But listen, not sure how we are going to follow the candid honesty of our original geezer, Ryan Richards, but the show must go on. Today, you are going to be stuck with myself and Drew as we go catch up on the project that I have taken on recently and where we're at with it all. Throw in a little Lasker Lookback and the show opener, your social media spy. You know it. It's the Marriott Minute. Okay, intrigued me. Sad news. Let's start on a negative. Worcester Wolves have dropped out of the BBL. No matter the rivalries, this is devastating news for the league. Our thoughts go out first and foremost to the fans. I feel for Coach Matt Newby, who's done a tremendous job. His players as well, especially through a pandemic. It's just a real shame. Something we'll probably just touch on towards the end of the show a little bit and get Drew's thoughts. Engage me, signing news. Cheshire Phoenix doing a lot of business early. Big man Mike Ocharobia is in. I thought he was great for Plymouth and a great signing for Coach Thomas. So looking forward to this all British roster so far coming together. In other news, London Lions will once again push for European qualification as they enter the Champions League qualifiers. I'm hoping this will be a COVID-free situation for those guys so they can plan accordingly. Okay, amused me. I'm reaching back to last week. This one just missed the show deadline, but everyone needs to see it. Mrs. Lasker loves her jokes, but this one leveled up as Mr. Lasker thought he won 20 big ones on a scratch card, £20,000. This happy camper got a little carried away, and it was only later that he realized it was a fraud. Enjoy the laughter, guys. And that's this week's Marriott Minute. I'm always watching.
Please win well scratch one for you.
At least $1.
Shut up, Drew.
What? You get $1?
I won.
No, you didn't.
I promise.
$2.
Of course you are. And I had mentioned to you over social media a couple of weeks ago, I told you that my wife is a huge prankster, a huge jokester, always trying to get me in. I'm pretty gullible when it comes to her in particular. And man, it was actually $10,000. And the feeling that I felt inside, I had never felt like that before. And it was only 10 grand. So I can't imagine what it feels like to win $1 million. Like, that must feel amazing, man. That 10 grand was already spent in my head for sure.
Yeah. That's the one thing that I was going to say to you is in your head, you were spending it. So you weren't even high-fiving anyone. You were like, okay, I got this, right? That's gone. But yeah, Always
It-
fun in the Lasker household, right?
Oh man, I was calculating it up, man. But yeah, just to touch on your Marriott Minute again, that Worcester Wolves situation is very unfortunate.
Big
In
shock.
particular, yeah, in particular for Coach Matt Newby. I mean, from everything that I've heard, this was happened pretty abruptly and caught everyone off guard. And I reached out to Coach, and when the dust settles, we're going to get him on the show to get him to share his thoughts and open up about the situation. But, for someone like him who is a more than qualified BBL coach and not have the opportunity to coach in the league is just unfortunate.
He'll be back. Don't worry.
But moving along, we transition into, the Lasker Lookback. In this episode of the Lasker Lookback, we look forward as we've made the journey over from Chicago to Gloucestershire, United Kingdom, to welcome a new franchise. Let's welcome the Gloucester City Queens to the WBBL. For basketball fans, this is a new part of the country that we all look forward to exploring. Located in the southwest of the country and known for its history, there's a lot to be explored. While you're out sightseeing, head over to the Gloucester City headquarters and tell our host of the BBL show, Jay Marriott, well done, as he's played a major role in seeing the vision come to fruition. A few years removed from his stint with Plymouth, which left a bad taste in his mouth and ultimately disappearing from the game entirely, here, he's returned, out the gate with a bang. It's fair to say he's a rise. And that is your Lasker Lookback.
Okay, great look back, Mr. Lasker, as you give us a little whistle stop of the city of Gloucester, and that leads us into the main part of the show where you'll be catching up with me. A little bit more informal than usual. Drew is going to fire some questions at me. Come at me, bro.
Well, firstly, just to provide some perspective for the listeners who may not know exactly what we're talking about. Firstly, congratulations. You guys have been accepted into the WBBL. So there will be a team this upcoming season. So just talk to us a little bit about, get us behind the scenes of what this process has been prior to this official launch.
Yeah, monumental project that we've got on our hands for sure. So, I've roughly touched on it on here, talked about it a little bit on another pod as well. So, the project we have is off the back of a football club. So we've got a fully functioning running football club. So that's, got its limelight and it's heading towards its preseason. And then obviously our aspiration is to be in the BBL and our aspirations were to be in the WBBL. So we have ticked one of those boxes. So we will be going in. We announced our brand a couple of weeks ago. So we got
Which
the
is
Gloucester.
sick, by the way.
Yeah, wow.
Love it.
5 or 6, baby. Peter, him and Kieran working their magic. Those were who else was I going to go to, Drew? As soon as I knew that this was even just a little speck of dust, I was putting it in their ear. So they've done a great job for us. So we've got the Gloucester City Kings and we've got the Gloucester City Queens. So the Gloucester City Queens will be starting in September. And the league, the leagues are really thorough, so obviously we've had to go through sort of several rounds, ranging from anything from informal conversations to business plans to committee meetings, et cetera, which was, really impressive to be a part of. I've really enjoyed the process. It's not there to frustrate. It's there to make sure that, our eyes are wide open and they feel that we're in a really, really good position. I feel like we've got the right experience involved in the project, so our owner, Alex Petheram, has had experience down with the Plymouth Raiders, more in a sponsorship role, but then comes in, takes over a football club the last 3 years, has built a £3.5 million facility there, has got all the nous and the know-how. not arrogant in the slightest, so understands that that doesn't always translate to another sport, so brings me in to make sure that I'm being thorough about what we can achieve on that side of things. Obviously, venue, you will appreciate, venue is a huge part of this process. The league wants to make sure that it's growing, and it wants to make sure that its franchises are ambitious. So yeah, getting this one over the line is a great feeling. And to be honest with you, we've known for a while now that the BBL was going to be at least 2022, right? So 2022, 23, we've known that. We back when we were looking at it, we had an 18-month run at it. Very, very happy. The reality of being able to have the WBBL quicker came very soon. So kind of during the finals was where the seed was planted that this could possibly happen. First and foremost, I thought it was a great idea, because to give the women's game their limelight right now, they get 150% of our focus as a franchise, as the city. I think is going to be great for the WBBL. We've seen what's happened during the pandemic. I feel like the focus has grown on the league, and I feel like having people like Selena on board, who's really, really passionate about seeing the women's game succeed, then I think it's just the perfect time to enter the league. So we're excited.
Yeah, I've been behind the scenes, kind of going with you on this journey a little bit. So really excited for you and Gloucester to see that now this is a reality. And speaking specifically on the Queens, your official title is CEO of Gloucester Sport. Is that correct?
That's right.
So for our listeners out there, just talk about what exactly the role is you'll play in regards to the Queens franchise. And then also, where do you start when you have a fresh new franchise? What's the first thing that you do when you're trying to build out a roster or a team or budget, etc.?
Man, those are some really great questions. So like, really, to make it simple for everybody, is I'll be the GM, so like that will be my role with the basketball. We've spoken extensively that whilst I'm the CEO of Gloucester Sport, and that I've got to focus on the umbrella that looks over both the sports, we've got enough experience and structure into that football club where I'm afforded the chance to focus a lot more on the basketball than the football. So as long as everybody's happy on the football side, I've got a lot of trust factor there with the group that we've got. We're pushing for promotion this year. Everybody's on the same page. I can kind of leave that to those guys and just check in on normal either every day, weekly, monthly meetings, whatever that looks like. But I'm not too deep involved. And also, we've got a great owner as well that wants to be involved in the process, in a really healthy way. He's really supportive. So yeah, the basketball is a GM role. And that's a really great question. Like, where we start is, I think it's got to be about, first and foremost, like culture, like what do we want to be? And then what's possible. We have to realize, and for fans, you have to realize we're a little bit behind the 8 ball in terms of time. So the league have really bent over backwards to make this work. We really bent over backwards to make this work. So we don't have that much time. So you guys can be pretty excited, because over the next month or two, you're going to see everything sort of come together piece by piece. But we haven't rushed this. We've been thinking about this for a while. One of our biggest challenges is that we just like every new team into the league, we've got to go through our sponsorship of visa. So it's not as easy as we just want to bring some Americans over. Like, it's a really complicated process that we have to be patient with. Worst case scenario, it takes 6 months to come in. So do the math. The season would have already been started. So we just took a stance early on, before we even got accepted, that we would just be very relaxed about that process. And like, when that became an availability, we would look at it and see where we are. So we want to kind of develop you know, we're looking for diamonds in the rough. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for players that they want to develop, they want to grow, and you know, they want to buy into what we're trying to do here at Gloucester. Like there's a huge part of this role that is going to be about us having to reach out to that community. So we really have to be like really embrace that focus, you know. So it's got to be ladies that want to come in and be in the limelight and not be afraid to talk about what the game means to them, and you know, what it means to be trying to push the sport forward. So, you know, we're very specific in what we're looking for and how we want to play as well. We're definitely not coming in the league just to make up the numbers. Let's be honest about that. But we also understand budgets and know who the big fish are and who the other aspiring teams are. So we just want to come in and make sure that we do the league proud. You know, they've let us in. We want to make sure we do the league proud. It's great. One thing that's been awesome in this whole process is like a lot of those old contacts that maybe you think might be lost or you got to rebuild or anything else like that. They're all there. They're all still there, you know, so you kind of reach out. And one thing that I think is great for the listeners to understand is that the league and the clubs are just great. They are really supportive of the game growing, you know, so there's no radio silence. You know, I've got to give especially Leicester, Russ Levinson, especially like their props, but Paul as well. Like, you know, how great Paul is up in Newcastle. You know, to take a call with how busy that guy is, or the same thing for Russ is absolutely incredible. And then Andy at the league is the same as well. You know, if we've had some questions along the way of what we can and can't do. What we most definitely don't want to do is come in the league and tread on everybody's toes. So it's great that people are able to lay out all the picket fences and make sure that we, you know, we don't overreach our boundaries. But yeah, that's how we plan to build the team. We're still not 100% sure on coaches at the moment. So that, again, that's been a really windy path. We thought we had somebody, and it didn't quite work out from a scheduling perspective for them. And so we're going again. We're looking. So
well, I mean, I think Coach Matt Newmy might be available. Wink. That would be a steal for you. But yeah, you mentioned, I mean, one thing that's been constant is from you behind the scenes is how much support you've gotten. You've mentioned Russell's name a lot, and Paul Blake has just come into the picture, and how supportive and receptive that they've been. And it's no surprise that both of their franchises, Leicester and Newcastle, are leading the pack over the last 15 years. Because both of those guys always have the bigger picture at the forefront. So, which is the league growing and growth. And so, recruiting. You mentioned budget, so I'm assuming you've been given a budget. We know in the BBL that there is a salary cap. Is that the case in the women's game? And if so, have you signed anyone? Are you looking? What's that situation been like navigating, especially when you don't have a coach in place?
Yeah. So, yeah, to be honest, we've been able to navigate the coaching thing really, really well, because we're looking for something really, really specific who's going to be like-minded with what I'm looking to do as well. So when I'm having those conversations, you know, I'm sort of spelling out what we want to do, because one thing I'm really passionate about us doing is I want people to look at us and know we're playing the Gloucester City basketball way. Right. So if they look at the Kings, they look at the Queens and stuff like that, there are some obvious differences in the game, but we can still play in a similar style and be known for how we're playing. So with players, I haven't had to navigate that too bad. You know, they know that I'm going to be pretty hands-on through this process. And it's Sunday night currently. So I'm hoping that I'm chatting to somebody about our first signing. So our marquee signing, which I think is pretty big. You know, that's going to be the first signing in the whole club's history.
Huge.
which is, also I have also used this as a really great selling tool to the person that I'm trying to sign. But yeah, we're just I've cast my net out a little bit, so we've probably got 7 or 8 that we're currently looking at, and then I have to suppose, so maybe I need to fill you in on this later, but I have to suppose on Monday, when it becomes a reality and it's out there in the ether, and we start maybe running a couple of trial dates or things like that players are gonna start to look for us as well. The WBBL is still very much kind of semi-professional, and I want to be a really big part of trying to push it to where these ladies should be getting paid, what they should be earning. So I want to play a big role in that. I want to be really passionate about what we do there. And just so far it's been really great conversations, and we understand who we are as a club. We're very comfortable with who we are. We want to become sustainable. We want to be here in the next 15 years, and the league use us as an example to other franchises as how to do it right. So as long as we listen, so if we listen to the league, especially if you listen to Russ and Paul, like I'm telling you, those guys
can't go wrong.
Have been there before, and also I can learn from the past as well, right? So like me and you have talked extensively at being involved in situations that we didn't feel were right, so I can tick that box as well, and stay away from those kind of areas. And
well, let me touch on that, because you and I have talked about this a lot. And for our listeners out there, we know that, well, for some of our new listeners who might not know, Jay Marriott was the head coach of the Plymouth Raiders for, was it 2 or 3 seasons?
Yeah, like two and a bit.
Two and a bit. And it didn't go well for a number of reasons, which you've touched on a little bit here on this show. And so my question is this new, fresh situation in Gloucester, is this like an opportunity for redemption for you?
Man, that is a great question. I guess so. I mean, the reason why I've reached back in is because I'm definitely unsatisfied with my representation that I've had in the UK, right? So the rest of my career, I'm at perfect peace with. I've had the opportunity to play in the States. I've had the opportunity to coach in the States, be involved in director of basketball stuff. I've headed out to the Middle East. It's been great. And the Plymouth situation, I think, like, is not to dwell on it. That I think that's a big key, is not to dwell on it. Like it hit harder because it's the hometown, right? So I think like anybody getting into coaching and professional sport has to realize that you're going to leave at some point or another, and there's going to be 2 ways that you do that. You've either overperformed and got a payday, or you're out, right? So
yeah.
You have to expect that. But I think, yeah, definitely just looking at what we learned there. So I think one is, this is something that I learned from Anthony Rowe, like when he left and he went to Leicester, and we talked about what the differences were. And these are questions I'm asking for the future, right? I want those questions. Yeah, I've always got a little book that I'm scribbling in, and anybody tells me something pretty cool, and that one sticks in my mind, where off the court they had everything great. Yeah. So before you even start, guys feel looked after. They feel like it's the right way to go. So that's one thing we're focusing on. And then 2, just from a culture perspective, is do our homework, recruit the right players, and get continuity as fast as you possibly can. You don't give up on the process. This whole high turnaround was really, really difficult for me. And that was a process of failure. Yeah, because on my behalf, I didn't know how to manage up. I didn't know how to stop that situation. So like when I took the job, I was like, okay, do I know X's and O's? Do I know the game? Yes. Do I get on with people from a personality standpoint? Yes. But all these things about managing up, you have to learn. You have to learn those things really, really quickly, or else you will get swallowed up. And I think that's one thing I learned from that process. And want to make sure I'm not that guy. So the coaching staff that we pick up and the things we put in place is all about supporting them, allowing them to do their job, not overstepping my boundaries. So even though I know the game, not overstepping my boundaries. And then also just making sure everything around that situation. So it isn't just basketball that keeps people happy, right? You know, it's about understanding they want a situation where they can grow and develop. They want a situation where they feel safe. You know, they feel taken care of. And I think you can create that in the professional environment. And I think, you know, there are several teams in the league that do that, and several teams in the league that are really, really successful. And I think that's a BBL and WBBL thing. If you look at the WBBL, Seven Oaks Suns, for example, you know, Len Bush, it's just the continuity and the closeness that he has there with his team is great. You know, London have been really successful this year and looked really together. And then look at that Newcastle run, you know, the Cinderella story. Like, how did that happen? Like how close they were as a group. Just check out social media and look at where they were in those games and how they treated Allison after that last game when you know, you just lost a final. You could have your heads down, and they were just together. So yeah, it's about learning. I think I got that from Steve Kerr, right? So Steve Kerr said that he just took everything in, and I've been able to step back away from the game and just take notes at my pleasure, like things that I just enjoy. And then if the call ever came, and it has, then get back in the ring and go again. Yeah. Ding, ding.
Yeah, yeah, man. And I really think that you're going to be successful in this role. For one main reason is because you've always accepted responsibility for the Plymouth situation. You never hid, you never ran away from it. And you've been open and receptive to, okay, let me take the things that didn't work, and you use it as a learning experience. And that's what life is about, right? It's about learning from your past mistakes, and it's about growth. So, you know, we wish you luck here from the BBL show, you know, in that role with the WBBL franchise. We're excited to follow it. And just one final question that I've seen pop up on social media is obviously with the abrupt dismissal or departure of the Worcester Wolves, that question, which was inevitable, popped up. Will the Gloucester Kings be coming into the league this upcoming year? And so your answer to that is, because you mentioned before that your eyes has always been on the following season, 2022, but has there been a little something in there that's like, let's see if we can expedite this?
Well, let's get in the honesty circle right now. So, you know, obviously from our standpoint as a franchise, like seeing Worcester drop out is devastating. So people are putting it out there that maybe there's an opportunity for us to drop in. And what people have to realize is, like, that was going to be the beauty of our franchise, you know, having Bristol and Worcester right there, like that competitive fire was going to be fantastic for the league. So we were pretty, you know, we were probably more upset than most in terms of the casual observers. I appreciate fans were definitely more devastated than me. But we definitely intimated to the league that should they want to have that conversation, or should they want to accelerate that situation, we feel we would be ready with the appropriate support, you know, so making sure that we had our eyes wide open. We're 70% of the way through the process right now with the BBL, and that might sound a lot, but that 30% is still a lot. You know, there's still a ton of work to do. So I think the league's perspective right now is that they can manage. I think they'll be all right. I think that I don't think that they'll rush into any situations. You know, should there be any other situations, then I think that we've got the stability to get it done and be a part. So let's just see. The honesty circle is we definitely threw our hat in the ring, but would need a lot of extra support that I would probably assume that the league don't need right now. You know, that it would be quite heavy on them. But what more than anything, I'm just interested to see I've only ever thought the league is safe, right? Like I've just been in this positive mindset and just been like, wow, it's been amazing. And, we're ready to kick on. And then we got Gino, we got the returning MVP and players announcements. And so I kind of forgot about like the financial situation and those kind of troubles. So it'd be interesting to see how many other teams are feeling the squeeze, because I'm guessing, I have no inside information on Worcester. I'm guessing that the reason why it happened so fast was there must have been a financial shortfall, or must have been something coming that they couldn't handle. Is that going to happen to some other teams? We really genuinely hope not. Of all the teams to drop out, we definitely didn't want it to be Worcester. It would have been a fantastic, some fantastic derbies right there. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't know either, and that's why we would love to get Coach Matt Newby on here to kind of talk us through the intricacies of that situation. But I would just have to assume that maybe it's something to do with the university connection, because we do know that the club is ran by the university. So keep that in mind. I think the only other club in the BBL that follows that kind of is the Surrey Scorchers as well, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe that had something to do with it, where they had to basically, figure out what their priorities was, during this crunch and the squeeze, like you mentioned. But, otherwise, this is about you, man. And I know on this show, it's rarely about us. It's about the guests that we feature on the show. But today, that guest happens to be you, man. So we celebrate you. We celebrate you in that role. We celebrate another WBBL franchise, the Queens, entering the league, which is a growing league. And we hope all the momentum of last season just continues to push the women's game forward. So Jay, we appreciate your openness today on the show, and for the fans out there, and we'll pass you out to close it, man.
Always, man. Always. What we need to do is we need to get Siobhan and Rianne on, and we need to get their thoughts on this process. So we definitely need to catch up with them during the summer. So we've got something exciting for them. So this is probably a segue into that. So we'll see what happens next couple of weeks. But yeah, guys, appreciate it. Appreciate the chance for me to come on and talk about this process. It is very much part of what's going on. A few people have asked me, like, I'm as committed as Drew is to the BBL show. Neither of us are going anywhere, and nor do we need to. And we're just making this summer road trip happen as however we possibly can. So
by any means necessary.
By any means necessary. That's right. So we hope you guys have enjoyed the show. We always appreciate you guys listening in, especially during the summer. We keep these podcasts lean as we possibly can. And that's it. That's it for episode 5. We were in, we're in Plymouth, technically. This is where we are at the airport, but Gloucester is what we were talking about. So we'll put a pin down on Gloucester, and let's see where next week takes us. Right, Drew?
Yeah, let's see where it takes us. And, I've really enjoyed recording with you today, Jay, but I think I need to get back to my vacation. As you can see, the sun is glistening. We're about to hit the pool. So not to make you jealous, my friend. Not at all. Not at all. But we sign off. You can find us next week, same time, same place, here on The Show.
The Show.